Counting on your hopes. I've been out here with the folks, trying to scheme a couple million. What? Made it from the bottom up. Remember what they showed me, young and get them dollars up. Saw them pushing prices, golden with the diamond cut. Wonder what they stressing, got emotions bottled up. Don't they know it's tough? Made it from the bottom up. Remember what they showed me, young and get them dollars up. Saw them pushing prices, golden with the diamond cut. Wonder what they stressing, got emotions bottled up. Don't they know what's up? Made it from the bottom. Counting all your woes. I've been out here with the folks, trying to scheme a couple milli. Can't be dilly when you broke. I don't see no competition. Got them switching up their quotes. I've been out here on the low, busted back and I reload. Yeah. Then it told me to stop playing. I can hear him through the word they not saying. I'm tired of hearing that it's all love. I just want something when it's not tainted. Only time you ever hear about a North shooters when I'm not aiming. Never caught up on that brother talk. We ain't break bread, we ain't got relations. Stack him up like he basil. I got him stuck like a needle. I call me a diamond, she regal. You ain't the type she was speak to. You never been through the you know. I've been recouping some you know. I guess that it comes with the game when you threaten these lanes with the knowing that you don't want up. Remember what they showed me, young and get them dollars up. Saw them pushing prices, golden with the diamond cut. Wonder what they stressing, got emotions bottled up. Don't they know it's up? Made it from the bottom up. Remember what they showed me, young and get them dollars up. Saw them pushing prices, golden with the diamond cut. Wonder what they stressing, got emotions bottled up. Don't they know what's up? Made it from the bottom. Can I live? Dotting my T's in my eyes, I frame it well. Can you picture a kid that ain't used to the lights getting put in the light when they used to get picked on? I look at the industry, looking at me in this puzzle, they feel like a jigsaw. Been trying to recall just who I could call when the dark had me locked in a fig for. Never thought that I would see 21, now I'm hoping that I live long. Was on my own time in this long grind, heard them wishing that I did more. Couldn't stomach any brown drink, and I ain't talking about no Nesquik. Got old friends hating on the low, got old ops trying to dish. Imagine your own blood dry hating, but counting on you, that's a head trip. That I don't have the headspace to deal with. Trauma stacking like a Tetris. Damn. What's up? Hope somebody hear the message. Hope you know what I done led with. Had to set it straight from the bottom up. Remember what they showed me, young and get them dollars up. Saw them pushing prices, golden with the diamond cut. Wonder what they stressing, got emotions bottled up. Don't they know it's up? Made it from the bottom up. Remember what they showed me, young and get them dollars up. Saw them pushing prices, golden with the diamond cut. Wonder what they stressing, got emotions bottled up. Don't they know what's up? Made it from the bottom.
Another week, Black Market Bandit. What's good, Solo?
Oh, what's goody, Woody?
We live, bro. What's good with you?
We live?
Yeah, we are live. You wake up now. I saw you sleeping in the back, bro.
You got some ugly people on. Yo, come on, don't put your boy out there like that.
I saw you sleeping, bro.
I wasn't sleeping. Listen. When you go from pretty to ugly, you meditate a lot, fam.
So you went from pretty to ugly, or did you go from ugly to pretty?
Heavy meditation during this transition of being pretty, son. Sorry. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to all the ugly people out there who's still trying. You know what I'm saying? Day's coming, but for now it's mine. You know what I'm saying? One day you'll get that pretty boy Floyd look. You know what I'm saying? And be able to do what I do. Meditate in public. Meditate everywhere you go, son.
Wow. Just like that?
Just like that, son. What's like good with you?
I've been good, man. We had our live stream over at the Hyfa event. That was pretty fire. We had a few mistakes that I found. I did find some mistakes that we did on the recording. I didn't turn off the stage sound on some of the interviews, but I know exactly what the problem is. And then in the beginning we had a few glitches on the stream, but once I connected straight back to
it was a pretty dope night.
It was a very dope night, bro.
I can't complain.
Los was dancing. I saw you catch some of his dances and stuff like that.
Lil was definitely in his bag, son.
He was in his bag, bro.
Nigga was in the bag, out the bag, on the side of the bag.
One thing that I didn't like is that we couldn't get EManDrums on there.
That's a fact.
Beating the pads. He was supposed to be over there on there. We just couldn't find the right connection. But he was right next to us during the whole time.
Yeah, he was over there making beats, B.
He was making beats.
You know what I'm
He was trying
saying?
to get clientele.
Man, he don't waste no time. He don't waste no time. He don't care. He probably in the shower beating that pad up, huh? you gotta respect the grind, son.
Oh man, gotta respect the grind. So
No
we got
huh?
we got King of the Stage next, July 9th at Crowbar.
Yeah. Yes.
That one we're gonna do a whole commentary.
A whole commentary.
I think I'm gonna try to find a way to get votes in for who we think won on the channel during the event. And then we got Loud on 7th in September, so that one should be interesting. And I got a few different events that we're gonna be streaming from there. One that we're specifically gonna be doing that format where we interview people and stuff like that.
I like it a lot.
But today, I just want to drop a bomb before we even go there, because today
it's one of those days.
It's one of those days. We're gonna be a little more serious today because we need to learn some stuff today.
Facts. So I got my pad out. I'm ready.
So I'm gonna pull them up over here right now.
Okay.
We got David Rivera Reyes, if I'm not mistaken, right? And he is one of the original Young Lords. Here, I'm gonna let him speak his own story because I can't tell a story. I wasn't there, and this is a piece of history that a lot of people forget. Emmanuel, do you have the sound on over there? You might have to unmute yourself. I think you got yourself muted, bro. Oh, now I can hear you. See, there we go. So, but I'm gonna go through the questions that I have, and then I'm gonna let him just tell his story through those, from that point. How are you guys doing today?
Pretty good.
Pretty good. We got EManDrums over there, who's been working with the new Young Lords, right? And you've been working out of all Central Florida, right? Right.
Yep. Pretty much all Central Florida, a little bit in Tampa.
Okay.
But most Florida.
So before we get to David's story, tell us a little bit about your journey. I mean, you've been going through this journey for a little while now with them. Tell us about your journey and how you connected with David.
It basically happened during the pandemic. You know what I'm saying? Everything that was going on at that time was, a lot of riots happening and all that stuff on the news was crazy. So I just kind of wanted to get back to the community work that I did with, my mom and dad growing up. And I basically found them on Instagram. I hit them up. I asked my dad had a chapter. They had a chapter located right here in Florida. They got CK, Eric Luciano, Luciano's son. Shout out to him if he's watching. He happens to be located in Tampa, so I tapped into him personally. And that was really it, I met David probably about a month into that after doing some homeless feedings and some what we call boots on the ground events where we go out there and we give food out to people and the community and stuff like that.
Right.
And it's been 3 since, he's our senior advisor, so he's been closely working with us personally, and we got a lot of stuff in the works.
All right, so David, tell me, it's great to meet you.
Thank you.
I've heard about you through lore and literature is the best way I know how to put it. Through things I've read and people that I've heard. I'm connected with a lot of different organizations too as we've been growing up. Kind of like Emmanuel said, we've always been connected to community things at some level. And so I've heard here and there, but this is a privilege to be able to actually hear it from the mouth of somebody that was there, that did this. We have these days we got a lot of online activists. We've got a lot of people who say that they do, but today I've got somebody here who has done, who has lived and pushed through it. So I'd like to hear a little bit about your story, but before we hear all of that stuff, I want to hear where you came from. Like, tell us about where you were born, coming into the States.
Okay, I was born in Guam, Puerto Rico, in 1948. My parents came up in 1949 they flew up to Chicago looking for jobs. That's when the big migration of Puerto Ricans started coming over to New York mostly and to Chicago.
I was maybe 4 or 5 years old when I first met Cha-Cha. He lived across the alley from me. And, the kids in the neighborhood used to go to his house, and his mother used to teach us catechism, and we used to go for the cookies that she gave us afterwards.
Okay.
And that all happened in the Lincoln Park area in Chicago, right after the Puerto Ricans and the Latinos were pushed out of the division and La Clark and division. So they pushed us out into the Lincoln Park area, into the Humboldt Park area, but mostly the Lincoln Park area. That's where the group of us, we had to literally fight just to go to school. On the way to school, it was crazy. It was, you didn't go to school by yourself.
Right.
Because you got to remember, it was the early 50s, mid 50s. And back then, if you were a person of color, you weren't allowed a lot of things.
Right. Yeah, it's a different time than now.
Yeah. So, so it was pretty hard. But I became a young lord in the summer of the same group. We used to be called the Young Knights. That's what we were called.
That somewhere. Yeah, I think I saw an interview with you where you had said that. Yeah.
And then we went on to be called the Young Lords. It was the summer of 1961. We became Young Lords. I think I was 13, 12 going on 13, I believe.
Okay.
When I became Young Lord. At that age, we went to about 3 presidents in the first month or so. Our first president was actually Orlando, but he stayed about 3 days and quit because he didn't want to be the president. So then and he was one of the original 7. When I say 61, there was the Young Lords. The original Young Lords were 7 of them. There were 7 guys, and those 7 was myself, Cha-Cha Jimenez, Orlando Davila, Berman and Benny Perez, Joe Vicente, and Santo Guzman were the 7 Young Lords then. And we were, like I said, we were kids.
So let me ask you a question real quick before you go on. When you guys formed the Young Lords at that time, it was pretty much a street gang, right? Like you were trying to fight the other kids that were fighting you, right?
Well, yeah, we had no choice but to fight.
Right. Right.
But yes, we didn't call ourselves a gang, though. We used to call ourselves a social club, actually.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, almost all the gangs back then used to call themselves social clubs. It was the police and the authorities that called us gangs.
Yeah. So back then it was kind of like how motorcycle clubs call themselves motorcycle clubs, but the police call them something else, right?
Exactly.
Okay, I got you. Okay, that makes sense.
So the 7 slowly but surely became many, and we went on like that. It's a social club / gang.
Yeah.
Till about 1968. In 1968 was when Cha-Cha had got locked up, and he had met Fred Hampton, and when he came out of jail, he came out with the idea of not fighting gangs anymore, not fighting for territory anymore. What we were going to fight was for our rights, the rights to be able to, work where we wanted to work. If you go through history, it wasn't to the early 1960s that, people of color couldn't even become a policeman or work for the city.
Right.
Or get a state job.
Right.
So
and Fred Hampton was part of the National Black Panther Party, correct?
He was the deputy chairman of the Illinois chapter.
Yeah.
He was the chairman of the Illinois chapter of the Black Panther Party.
Awesome. Okay. So then when Cha-Cha came out, how did it go from there? Because obviously the Young Lords went from something that was basically for protection to a very political organization.
Exactly. And we knew and we knew that there were still going to be moments where we had to fight, but also by this time, the movement was moving around pretty good. There was a lot of white groups that were in movements, like Rising Up Angry, Students for Democratic Society. So, and you got to remember the Vietnam War. So the people that were our age that grew up fighting with us or against us, were probably the ones fighting next to us in Vietnam.
Right.
So, but when we became political, at first a lot of the guys didn't like it. They weren't.
So they fought it in the beginning, right?
Yeah. There was some resistance about becoming political, but as we went on and looked at how effective we could be in the community, instead of just feeling good about doing something for someone, but you actually became the protector of your people,
right?
Defender of your people, and by 1969. Even after we took over the church, by this time the neighborhood, were treating us like if we were the government. They had a complaint, they wouldn't go to the police. They came to our office. As a matter of fact, we used to have people in the community come to our office just to complain about how policemen used to harass them.
Right. So you're basically policing your own community.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then at the same time, when we took over the church, we turned the church into a daycare center, a free daycare center, a free clinic, free breakfast for children program. Wow. We had a clothing pantry at the church. So, we became the place where people went for help.
Right. And I know after Vietnam, the world was a very different place. A lot of heroin came into the inner cities during that time, with all the soldiers coming back from there with their issues. And how was that time frame for you guys? Like, explain what the environment was like.
Well, when the war finished and the people started coming back, a lot of us were still in hiding. Okay, a lot of us were still underground because right after they killed Fred, after that we formed the Rainbow Coalition, and Hoover gave the order to kill the leadership. They started with Fred.
Yeah.
So the rest of us, we went into hiding.
Right.
And then we got involved in other things, working with other organizations. For example, SDS, Students for Democratic Society, they had a connection with Cuba, and they were the ones that got us to help them organize, or they went to Cha-Cha, and Cha-Cha came to me and told me to organize a brigade to go and help Cuba harvest sugarcane to help them with their revolution.
Yeah, which I think we got a picture of that, don't we? Of you over there?
Oh, yeah. He's standing in front of the Puerto Rican flag.
Let me pull it up.
There was a 10-man tent that we stayed in.
You guys, he was in Cuba with a Puerto Rican flag. I just want to repeat that again. In Cuba with a Puerto Rican flag.
I used it for my door.
There you go. Now let me ask you a question before we go. I want to talk a little bit about your time in Cuba there.
Let me tell my daughter that I'm in a meeting.
Yeah.
Honey. Hello. Sí, estoy bien, mi amor, pero estoy en un meeting.
Está bien, pues hablamos mañana.
Ok, mi amor, Dios te bendiga.
Okay.
Bye, sweetheart.
I'm feeling the fuzzies.
That's my daughter. She calls me at this time every day.
There you go. On the clock, right?
Every single day.
Before I go to your time in Cuba, I want to go over that because I got some questions there. We're half Cuban. Me and Emmanuel, our father's from Cuba.
Okay.
And even our grandfather was a comandante in Alpha 66, and there's a whole history there too.
Oh, wow. Alpha 66?
Yeah, it's crazy. I still have his ID from there. That's nuts, right? So
I hate to say it this way, but at one time we battled them.
I believe it. I believe it.
In 1969, over at People's Park, they came to destroy the People's Park.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that's and it turned into a battle.
Well, let me ask you that because there's a lot of government organizations that you had brushes with during this time. Like when you guys became political, you guys did become very much a target. How did that pressure feel? I mean, COINTELPRO was no joke. Hoover really was coming at
actually,
groups.
The COINTELPRO were actually government hitmen.
Yeah. How was that pressure dealing with that? Did you feel like you dealt with it well? Do you feel like it broke a lot of things?
Well, they did a lot of damage.
Yeah.
They did a lot of damage, especially when they killed Fred.
Yeah.
And then they went after the Rainbow Coalition because when Fred spoke with Cha-Cha and Preacher Man and the Patriots about forming the Rainbow Coalition, and the Rainbow Coalition actually was formed, and then you had all these other organizations coming into it also. The government actually got scared of the power behind it all.
Right.
Because now you didn't have one where each race was fighting for their own. Now you had all these races of people fighting together.
Mm-hmm.
So, and they became very, very powerful, and they had to do something about it. But they did some damage, and the pressure was on. When I came back from Cuba, I had a car sitting in front of my house and my mother's house for months.
Mm.
I don't think I could go to the bathroom without them knowing.
Right.
And there were times where the Young Lords and members of the Young Lords were attacked. Their homes were attacked, either with gunfire or fire bombs. You got to also remember that at that time the city also had the mob with them.
Yeah.
One of our biggest persons that really, did a lot of no good in our neighborhood was the mob. A guy named Fat Larry.
Yeah, they had all the real estate over there, didn't they? They held up all the real estate.
Yeah. At the real estate office over on Arlington Avenue. Exactly.
Okay.
And the Alderman McCautrin, he went and put his office right there, smack in the middle of the neighborhood, right on the corner of Austin and Armitage, also kitty corner from People's Park. Right. I mean, he didn't keep it long, but he did it.
Right. And that was what the fight at People's Park was, right? When you guys were trying to keep that park for the community, weren't you?
Yes, because what happened was those used to be tenement buildings, and it was a poor neighborhood. It was the ghetto. But the problem with that was the same reason they took us out of La Clarkin Division. La Clarkin Division today is part of the Gold Coast, one of the richest parts of Chicago. Okay. The Lincoln Park area today is so close to downtown, and it's right there next to the lakefront because of Lincoln Park. That's why they call it the Lincoln Park area. All that was valuable real estate, and the city wanted it actually to turn the inner city into a suburb. In other words,
right.
And they had to get rid of the poor people.
Yeah.
And funny to say, but among the poor people, it wasn't just the Latinos or the blacks, or the people of color, but there were a lot of white people there too that were very poor.
Right.
And in the neighborhoods.
Yeah, so it was a whole community of people,
Yes. And then they
multicultural. Yeah,
started with urban, they called it urban renewal, but we used to call it urban removal.
yeah, it's gentrification.
Exactly.
Yeah,
They wanted to get us out of there because I'll tell you how it was. My mother's house on House Street cost $25,000, $24,500. That's what she paid for it. That same house right now is going for $2.5 million.
wow,
If you want to see the,
that's nuts. That is nuts.
that's how why they wanted the Lincoln Park area. The Lincoln Park area was so close to the park. It was close to downtown. It was, the hardest part they had was Cabrini Green Projects. That was sitting right smack in the middle of downtown almost.
Right.
But eventually they knocked them down. And you're talking about thousands of people that were spread out into the city.
Yeah, with nowhere else to go, so they had to go wherever they can go. Wow.
And we were tired of being moved around. I mean, we were moved around from the south side to downtown, from downtown to Lincoln Park, from Lincoln Park to Humboldt Park.
Right.
Every time they moved us, we had to get up and go.
Right. Right.
We decided to fight to stay.
So you guys fought on a few fronts. You fought on the local front of your community.
Yeah.
You fought on a very national front. Working with in the Rainbow Coalition. You fought on an international front by being involved. Like you said, you went to Cuba. So tell us about the trip to Cuba. What was that? What was that for, and how was that?
And I also went to China.
Yeah, I did see that you went to China for a little while too, for a few weeks, right?
Yeah, in China, yes. As a matter of fact, I was down there when Hoover died, and I still remember they actually celebrated.
Yeah, I believe that.
They actually celebrated that day.
Yeah.
Everybody celebrated when Hoover died, even the president.
I think just reading the history of that time frame, I don't think there was a lot of sad people.
But
no,
he was. It seemed like he was a very dirty player in the game. So, you were involved in some of the biggest struggles that we read about in our history books. Some of the biggest fights during that time. How does it feel to look back from here and see and have lived through that? See even movies of maybe things that you actually lived to where we're at now. How did?
And that was funny because I was watching Judas and the Black Messiah with somebody, and I went to the kitchen, and they said, "Hey, Grandpa, come on, you're gonna miss the good part." I said, "Honey, I lived it."
Yeah, I hear that. Does it feel like that sometimes?
Pardon?
Does it feel like that sometimes?
Now it is. Now it is, because I tell you the truth. I've been a young lord I was one of the original 7. Okay, and out of the original 7, there's only maybe 2 left, and that's Cha-Cha and myself. Okay, now, original young lords, when we became political, as of 1968, we still have a few of those.
Gotcha.
In our central committee. Still today in our central committee, we have young lords that were there from 1968 when we became political. Dr. Tony Baez, he's our Minister of Education. Omar Lopez, he's our Minister of Information, and he has been from the get-go. I from the get-go, when Chacha told me I wasn't no longer the Sergeant of Arms, that now I was going to be called the Field Marshal. That was funny because I didn't even know what the Field Marshal was.
Explain what it is. Can you explain it to us?
Actually, a Field Marshal is like the right hand of the chairman. I'm the one that he sent out into the field to actually bring everything together.
Right.
I was the one that used to go and get chapters started, recruit people. I was the one that recruited the 40 people that Chicago sent to Cuba. I was the one that they sent to meet with the ambassador in Ottawa, Canada. Things like that. I mean, we had people that our women were at a level where they were already meeting with the woman caucus of the Vietnamese Women's Caucus.
Which I did
Meeting
notice
with
that you
them.
guys were very big on women's rights and the upliftment of women in your organization.
Yes, because that was hard for us too. I mean, I don't think that there's anybody that didn't like shorts,
Yeah.
or miniskirts when they came out. But we learned to respect our sisters, though.
Do you feel it changed do you feel like it changed the family dynamic even internally, like from when you guys were kids in the neighborhood that you knew to when you guys became political and very self-aware and conscious? Do you feel like it changed your family dynamics?
In the long run, yes, it did. Yes, it did. I mean, as a father of girls, I like my girls to be their own person. I like to see them grow. Back when I was a kid, girls were supposed to wear, pink shoes and shoelaces and little frizzy dresses and learn how to sit and how to talk and what they were allowed to talk to boys or not. But not today. It changed. Yeah, it changed the dynamics of that you learn to respect women for what they were. I mean, it was hard because I can't tell you that it was easy to accept, but we did accept it, and we found out that the best thing there was to have the women as your comrade.
Right.
A lot of them became husband and wife, but they were still comrades. And that helped them in their marriage because they respected each other as comrades.
Right. I actually heard you say that in an interview. I think Chacha had it on for a university that you guys had posted where you said you called the women the comrade in arms.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like that.
I'll tell you a little joke. For example, it was funny because we were at a party about 3 weeks ago, was it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
About 3 weeks ago. And there were some sisters there. And I said, I would like to take a picture with these beautiful, and I said the word beautiful, with these beautiful. And one of the sisters looked at me and I says, comrades. And she said, oh, comrades. And that was okay. So yes, you treat them, they're equals. And
Right.
that's why we have women as deputy chairman in some of the states.
Yeah.
The women play a big part in the movement.
So they had leadership roles as well in the movement.
Yes, definitely.
That's awesome. Yeah. Shout out to my mom who's tuned in, by the way.
In our organization, for example, Angie, she became she had what was it? Mad Mothers. I forgot the name that she had, but anyway, she was the leader and the head of the women's organization within the Young Lords.
That was the Angie Linda Dorno?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes. And and she took it to great heights to the point where they've even named a train station intersection where all the trains come together and spread out in her name.
Oh, wow.
Because of with the women.
Yeah. So there's a lot of different lives you guys touched and a lot of impact that you made just from becoming self-aware and growing and evolving.
Yeah, I found that out about 2 years ago. Because I remember, as far as people were concerned, we were outlaws, we were terrorists, we were communists, we were everything under the sun except revolutionaries.
That is a misconception that sometimes I have. Like, I'm not gonna lie to you. It's there was a few people that I talked to, and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna have this interview, And when I say young lords, like immediately, oh yeah, the gang, or yeah, this, or or yeah, like the revolutionists, and it's like people never really take the time to learn the story and really understand how you were focused on your community, and we're focused on real practical issues like how are you going to eat, how are you going to sleep, how are you going to provide for your children, are your children okay, like that being a neighbor concept. Sometimes people don't realize that that organizations are born out of that, out of the need to do these things. So how was the I know there was a re-education at some point,
Yes, it was.
for you. So how was that process for you? Was it difficult for you to re-educate yourself, and really see the
Well,
world differently, or
well, well, yes, it was, because you got to remember, when I went to school, Buffalo Bill was a hero. Davy Crockett was a hero. You know, Kit Carson was a hero. Christopher Columbus was a hero. Communists were bad.
right,
Terrorists were bad, even worse. That's the history that we were brought up with. Now to come and find out, you know, that all this was a lie. That these people weren't heroes, and they were heroes to their people, but to us, they were terrorists
mm,
because they terrorized our people.
right, it's crazy, right?
But so back then, at first, yeah, people were leery, but I feel that once people actually found out and looked at what the Young Lords were really about, when they changed into a political organization, I I I feel safe to say that the community actually received us well afterwards when they found out. And not only the community, but even other organizations. Because when we took 10,000 people onto the street, there were also another 100 organizations there
Right,
that might have been considered as gangs by other people, but they would march with us.
right.
The reason they were marching with us was because it was a unified thing that everybody was marching for the people. We weren't marching for a neighborhood or to take over a neighborhood or a certain point. We were out there actually fighting for the rights of our people.
How do you feel? How do you feel today when you look back? Do you feel like you made a good impact, a good enough impact? Do you feel like you felt like you can make more impact?
You know, I believe that there's still a lot of work to be done. You look around today's world, especially the last 8 years. In the last 8 years, we found out that this country is so divided. As far as racism, the last 5 or 6 years, you didn't see racism as powerful as for almost 40 years. You didn't see that bad as it was back in the 50s and 60s.
Hmm.
It got that bad about 7, 8 years ago.
Hmm.
Hmm.
What do you think? What do you attribute that to?
People letting their real selves out.
Yeah, people
You
feeling more
know,
bold.
and people that get educated. Look at Florida's governor today. Over here you can't even say the word gay in school. Now he's taking all these things from Disney and it's costing people to pay higher taxes now.
Hmm.
And why? Because look at Central Florida. Tell me what is practically the majority of people that live in Central Florida.
Latinos.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah. I see what you're saying. So it impacts the Latino communities right away.
Well, sure, because and people don't see it that way because people just see it as just another saying that the governor or something, but if you look at the thing really, really deep, where is it happening? It's not happening in Tallahassee.
Right. Interesting.
It's
Very
happening in
interesting, sir.
Orlando. Even Kissimmee is known as Little Puerto Rico.
Yeah, it is. Kissimmee. Every time you roll through Kissimmee, you feel like you're in Puerto Rico for a little bit.
Little Hondas and flags everywhere.
Yes, little Hondas and flags.
But for myself, mijo, I tell you what, I've worked with the Young Lords all these years.
Mm-hmm.
I have always been the field marshal. Not last few years, not very active, but about 4 years ago, Chacha called me up and said, you got to get off your lazy butt. And I said, what's happening now? And then we started talking about other groups. We talked a lot about it until he came and called me up and said that how dare somebody call himself a young lord or without it being okay.
Mm-hmm.
And that was this guy Suvi. Okay. So he told me to investigate Suvi.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah, and I did for about 2 months.
Oh.
And what I learned about him was that I kind of liked him. I kind of liked what he was doing.
And this is the new era Young Lords, correct? That they come up afterwards? Yeah.
Exactly. You told me you wanted to talk about other things, so I'm over here leading on. So go ahead and ask me some more questions.
You're good. You're good because I'm kind of going there. So really, the new era Young Lords. I had that question. You're an original Young Lord. What are your thoughts on this new era Young Lords? What is your connection to them? Do you guys co-sign them? Do you don't? Like,
we gave them our blessings. Chacha and I gave them their blessings 3 days after we met Subi.
Dope. So you felt like what they were doing was in line with what your vision was as well, right?
They had a lot. What they were doing with the communities, yes. The political part, they weren't really had too much savvy about it, but it's like I told them, that was something that being a young lord, he wasn't going to be able to avoid.
Right.
And it's true. They haven't been able to avoid it.
Right.
But the organization now they know what the organization is about.
Right. It's a different time too. I think back then you guys were probably more hyper aware because I feel like the attacks came more direct. Whereas now the political climate's just a different climate. It's the fight changes, I feel like, over time. I think I heard you in an interview say that, like, your parents' fight wasn't your fight. And I feel like I agree with you. I think that each generation has like its own fight.
I mean, and today, I mean, the problems are still all the same.
Right.
But today, today, let's take the young lords today. But today, the young lords, they have Latino teachers, Latino lawyers, Latino judges, Latino Congress people. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
We are in different positions. Today, we fight by educating our people and helping our people get into the positions to where they can help us.
Right.
As long as they don't stop thinking that they're Latino and start thinking there's something else.
You can't lose your identity. The point is to bring up your people.
Exactly.
Yeah. So do you feel like your efforts kind of contributed to the fact that today we do have Latino lawyers, today we do have Latino doctors, and we have our families are educated. I could look at my kids and I didn't have to wonder whether they could go to college. They were able to just go. Do you feel like your guys' efforts really helped contribute to all that?
Yes, as a matter of fact, I believe so, because like for myself, I graduated high school. I was 28 years old when I graduated high school.
Wow.
At
And I was,
28?
and that was because I was a captive audience.
Okay, I got you.
So, you know,
Wow.
and I went to college, and I started going to college after the age of 30.
Oh, okay.
So
okay.
you started late.
Late. Back at the bus late.
Yeah. Later on, I became a mental health therapist. I did that,
Mhm.
but yeah, I I got to where I wanted to go 20 years later
Right.
because when I was in high school, I got kicked out of high school.
Mhm.
Yeah, you had mentioned that you had already been out of high school by the time you went to like the motorcycle gang and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got some pictures here before. I want to see if we can go through some of them. You can explain what some of them are.
Mm.
Okay.
Let's see here. Hold on, let me pull them up.
Yeah.
We already saw this one, right? That was in
Oh.
Cuba, right?
Yeah.
So tell us about this.
Oh, that's the Pedro Aviso Campos March. We marched in Chicago. We started with about 1,000 people over there around Austin and Armitage, the Lincoln Park area. We're marching down Division Street there, towards Humboldt Park.
Oh wow.
By that time, I think we had something like 20, 30,000 people
Wow.
back there. And if you see the two guys that are holding arm by arm almost in the middle, they got a beret and a white little jacket.
Yeah.
Right
Yep.
behind there's a guy with his head bowed down, smoking a cigarette.
Yeah.
That's me.
He was getting to smoking. How about this right here? This looks like a old hip hop movie from the 70s.
Actually, those were the Black Eagles. I think those were the Black Eagles and the Imperial Aces, something like that.
Okay.
I went to talk to them. We were recruiting them for security when we were preparing to have our fiesta in front of the church.
Oh, okay. Okay. So security. What's this right here?
That's me and Cha-Cha. That's me about 100 pounds more of me.
I was saying you slimmed up. You look pretty good.
Yeah, since then I lost, I think, 90 pounds.
Oh wow! Congratulations,
And
sir.
that's Kathy. Kathy is Angie's daughter.
Oh, okay.
Angie Adorno's daughter.
Oh wow!
And she has known us almost all her life as her uncles.
Wow! And Cha Cha is the other member.
Yeah, the other member, he's the chairman.
He's chairman. Okay.
Yeah, he was he became president after Joe Vicente, and he stayed president, and after president he became chairman.
Okay. Okay. How about this right here?
That's another march, but now this is when we started the march.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but this is within the neighborhood.
Oh, okay.
Chicago?
Chicago.
Chi-town. Shout out, Muñeca.
Chi-town.
That's the symbol at the church
Okay.
that we have taken over. People's Church, right? Yeah, that's the People's Church.
Mi
Puerto Rico,
corazón.
mi corazón. Yeah.
Okay.
And
This picture here, let me see. That's the top one is the picture of the fiesta at the front of the church. That day we had a confrontation with the riot squad from Chicago Police Department.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. The one in the middle was when we took over the police department in the meeting there.
You guys took over a police department?
Yeah. And then the bottom one, that was when Cha-Cha gave himself up.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Nice.
Yeah, that's me and Cha-Cha. The two pictures on top is Cha-Cha when he was younger and me when I was younger in 1969, that picture was taken.
You got that
The
cigarette
one in the
I see.
middle is me and Cha-Cha at Angie's Bar. That was taken in 1996.
Oh, wow.
Hmm.
Yeah, Angie's Bar was like a shrine for the young lords. She had, it was like a museum, and she had almost everything up on the walls about the young lords.
Mm.
I think I had one. I had a few more. Give me 1 second. Let me see if I can pull those up.
Yeah, you got some. So you should have another message there from somebody.
Yeah, I see it. All right, so let's pull this one up now. Boom.
Mm.
So tell us about this here.
That's the Sons of the Devil Motorcycle Club. I was president of this club for 10 years.
10 years.
Yeah. I became president in 1960. As a matter of fact, I became president of the club in 1969 while I was a young lord. The president was Gilbert, and he retired, and they voted me in as the president.
Oh, okay.
And I took it over in 69, and I stayed with them to 1980.
Wow. I was born in 79. That gives you any reference.
Okay. Yeah, and they're still around. The guy that's in front now, in that one picture, his name is Lurch, Wilfredo, but we call him Lurch. He's the president today.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And those are members in front of the Sons of the Devil Bar. That's a group of us just being funny.
This is the crew photo.
Ratchet.
Crew photo. Yeah, there's a lot of motorcycles over here.
Yeah, now that one guy that you see walking back there, that's me.
Oh, okay. You guys ever do the Daytona trip back then?
The Daytona, no, but we did go to Sturgis, and we used to take what we used to call runs, for 2-3 weeks out into the States.
Interesting. Little history for you, Solo.
And the Sons of the Devil also were the escorts in the funeral of Manuel Ramos.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Crazy.
Okay.
When Manuel died in 69, and I was president of the Devils back then, but I was also the National Field Marshal of the Young Lords.
Was that conflict? Is there any conflict between you having to do that between both groups?
Oh, no. As a matter of fact, the Devils used to come and back us up.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's back then, believe it or not, you had all types of what they consider gangs today march with us. There are pictures where you see Latin Kings with their sweaters on marching with us.
Okay.
Yeah. It's a, community stuff somehow it has a way of bringing everybody together.
To the point where the young lords actually, the people that actually knew the young lords, it got to the point to where they were no longer looked at as a gang. The only one that called them a gang was the government, but the people, it was an organization that was there for the people, all of the people.
Gotcha.
So you guys were more of a uniter across all these crews than anything else. Yeah, that makes sense. What lessons do you think we need to learn from all that today? Like if you could tell the people, we have the lessons of yesterday, that we have in our successes, but there's things that we've got to look forward to. There's always more work to do. So what would you say are those lessons we still need to learn today?
Well, one thing, we got to free Puerto Rico. That's one for sure.
Thanks.
But one of the lessons is that the people, if people of all color, if you stick together, there's no force more powerful than the people.
Thanks.
I mean, that's why they say all power to the people.
Do you think that's why a lot of this happens, where they try to separate people?
Of course.
And keep them divided, arguing on Facebook?
It's divide and conquer.
Yeah. It's divide and conquer. Am I wrong, Solo? Crazy.
You saw that. You saw that during the the elections between Biden or Obama and that other guy and Trump and Biden. You saw that when they were running for president.
Right.
True.
Right. People have polarized heavily in the
That division
last 10
that
years.
put me in a position mentally that was when I decided to join the Young Lords. It was during that time period when everybody was just at each other's throats. You know what I mean? And I was able to find this organization that now in modern times, I mean, there's a wide collective array of political opinions within just the Florida chapter itself, but that pretty much gets casted to the side. And what's more important is the community work that we do.
Stop and think like this. There's a difference when somebody goes and says, "Oh yeah, I got Puerto Rican neighbors. They're great guys," and they really mean it. And there's a difference when they says, "Oh, my neighbors are Puerto Rican."
Right.
Like, wow. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like, see, I'm not racist. I got Puerto Ricans living next door.
Right. There's a difference in actually interacting and connecting with people.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you see that, and it's a shame because when you're around it so much, you pick up on it.
Right.
You pick up on it as soon as haven't you ever talked to somebody and you automatically you pick up on this guy doesn't like me.
Right.
And it's the same thing when they're false. If they're false, it's going to come out no matter how much they try to say, oh, I'm not this.
Yeah, they got a saying. They say energy never lies. So the energy is always gonna come out at some point or another.
And all I can tell you is this: is education.
Yeah.
Educate our children. Not only our children but our adults to the reality of things. It's just because you're getting a public aid check or they're helping you out, they're not helping you out because they want to help you out. They're helping you out because that's the way to keep you down.
Right. Sometimes the help is a handcuff.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I got you. That makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Any more questions, Bill?
No, I think that's it, sir. Unless you got something else here, I think Solo, you got any questions, man?
No, man, you ran through everything.
I ran through everything.
The only thing we didn't talk about was Cuba or China, right?
Yeah. I mean, the one I do have one question. A lot of what you speak and a lot of what you learn and a lot of what I've heard you speak about in other interviews. There's a lot of socialism in there. There's a lot of Marxism in there. A lot of people in the United States are very scared of these concepts. Just like you said back then, like there was a Red Scare. I do believe that as generations have gone, they continue that. When we were growing up when I was growing up, at least for me in the 80s and 90s, we were still scared of, Russia and communism and stuff like that, right? And we were taught that. And even today, now it's like everything's be scared of socialism or any socialism type constructs and people are just very confused about what these concepts are. I think people are just not educated on what these things mean. How do you feel that factors in to justice, to equality, to all these concepts that you're trying to bring in? Do you think it's a necessary product, or do you think that things can thrive in capitalism?
You know what? Me personally, I believe that if people are for the people, then it's going to thrive. Now, you take, for example, China, the biggest communist country in the world, correct?
Yeah.
But today it's the richest country in the world. Okay. And today it's the most powerful country in the world. Because they are. And does communism work? They have proved it.
Okay, so you feel like they proved as a system it can work, right?
It's a system, sure. I mean, at first they were told you can't have more than one child. Today, now they're allowed to have 2 or 3 children. That shows progression in a country.
Yeah. Do you think it has flaws just like capitalism does?
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah. I mean, when I was over there, I went to a place called May 7 School.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and the May 7 School, it was actually like this giant farm with a lot of cows and a lot of manure and a lot of dirty work. Okay. But the people that were sent to May 7 School were people that were put in higher positions in the government that forgot where they came from.
Mm.
And they put them to May 7 School to re-educate them.
Mm.
You know, that everybody is important, from the person that milks the cow to the person who's holding a scalpel. You know, in communist, in a communist country, this guy is just as valuable as this guy.
Okay. Okay. And what do you feel like for people that say, well, um, the guy with the scalpel should make more money, or the person that wants to pursue enterprise above the normal should be able to get more if he puts more out?
I see it this way. Let's take Eman here. If he was my right-hand soldier, you know, if I had to give him 2 biscuits and 2 muslitos de pollo more than the other guy, I will, because he's the one that's out there really fighting.
Right. Okay. See?
You see where I'm coming
Very
from?
practical. Yeah.
Okay.
That makes sense. That makes sense.
You know, and one thought I did want to share, because just real quick, there is a big misconception about our organization. There's, you know, a lot of people out there, they think of, like you said, communism, Marxism, but our organization today, we have Republicans, you know, we have people that are more conservative in our organization. We have veterans, we have current law enforcement officers as members of our organization. We have right now in our Florida chapter, we have an ex-law enforcement officer.
We even have some councilmen.
Right, we have city councilmen that are members of our organization. So there is a stigma. And granted, with the history, I get it. You know what I'm saying? We're militant at one point. But this day and age, our revolution comes through getting people that look like us from our communities in institutions, like, you know, being teachers, like city councilmen, like police officers, like politicians, et cetera, et cetera. That's our revolution now. So, you know, a guilty plug, you know, to try to, recruitment purposes. If there's people that are interested in it and that's stopping them because they think this is like some sort of communist Marxist thing, it's not. This is just simply for the people. You do have people with those ideologies, but you have people on the other side of the spectrum.
There's different ideologies now in the organization. Yeah, so there's different ideologies. It's just everybody's coming together to have a common cause, and really help the community and help each other.
You know, what it is that too many people put too much on those words, communism.
I agree.
You know, what is communism? Let's say you got 10 people that are sharing an apartment, and they're all paying the same thing. They all eat together. That's communism.
Right.
Although, see, people just don't understand the meaning. Commune is togetherness. That's all it means.
Right. Yeah. And that's why I was saying I think people have stigmas to these words, you know? They just don't understand.
Going back to the way we were taught history, we were taught to be afraid of these things.
Right.
We were taught that these things were all bad.
Yeah. Really, people are just bad.
And it's just, exactly, because, you know, today, how bad can it really be? If today the people that took the United States out of hock were the communists. I mean, how bad can they themselves talk about the communists and then go and borrow $30 or $40 trillion from them?
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of hypocrisy in the world.
Exactly. So people are just afraid of words, and I hate to say it this way, they are afraid of words that they really don't understand.
That's the truth. I agree with that.
You know, because it all really comes down to, let's say it in one word, is peopleism. It's still an ism.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what the Young Lords are about.
I got you.
They're about the people.
I got you.
We do what we have to do for our people.
Right, left, Republican, Democrat, middle.
Yeah. But
straight,
today,
it don't matter.
we educate them because where do we want them today? We want them as teachers, teaching our children. We have our people teaching our children. We have our people leading our people. We have our people making decisions for our people.
Right. That's fire.
That's what it all really. That's all it comes down to. You know, so people are just a lot afraid of different words that they really, really don't know what they mean.
Right. Words are important and the meanings of them are important. I think people throw them around too easily.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that makes sense to me. I appreciate your time here. I appreciate you taking the time to give us the history and the education on that stuff.
So much.
It's a part of history I don't want to lose, so I want to take part in making sure that we keep passing that on. And I appreciate you doing that with us, sir.
Yeah, you know, I look at my daughters today, watching them. Some of them are teachers, some of them are nurses, and I'll tell you something. If we hadn't fought, we wouldn't have them there today.
Right. Right. That's necessary. Thank you, sir. Thank you, and thank you for your fight. Thank you for fighting for us. All righty, man. I appreciate your time too.
That's good for us now.
All right, sir. Well, I appreciate everybody who's tuned in. We did have some people tune in. I think people were listening. There weren't a lot of chatting going on, and there's some people watching on the website. This will be available on YouTube, so you can go ahead and share it. Subscribe to that channel too. I know we have the main channel, but definitely subscribe to the YouTube channel as well. Subscribe to the Roku channel, y'all. And that's it. That's all I got for y'all. You good, Solo?
Blessings to all you ugly people out there, man. Hope it gets better for you.
Hey, shout out to Subi. Shout out to Eric Luciano. Shout out to my boy Ruben. Just wanted to give those quick shout outs. I know they're watching right now. And the whole Florida chapter and the whole Young Lords all throughout the U.S. and Puerto Rico and whoever else is watching.
Thanks for having me.
Tell myself what up. Solo, I told him we're going to have to do like a live over there one of the days when they have like one of the big events or something like that. We're going to have to do a live from over there.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, sir.
Chop it up.
Yeah,
eat some good food.
We're going to work on that. We're going to do that.
As long as they got good food, bro. As long as they got good food, I'm good. Some macapurias, hook me up, bro.
Facts.
All right, y'all. We out.
Hey.
I appreciate your time.
Blast up.
Blackmarket.tv. Peace.
Black TV.
And I ain't even dreamed last night. I'm just trying to be alright. I'm just trying to be alright. I'm just trying to be alright. And I ain't even dreamed last night. I'm just trying to be alright. I'm just trying to be alright. I'm just trying to be alright. If you ain't talking about the moves, then I don't really wanna hear it. I've been cleaning out my room and I've been lifting up my spirit. I've been formulating plans just to be up in my bag. No one wanna see you win when you young, smart, and black. No one wanna see you happy when they used to being sad. No one wanna hear you talk when you can only speak in facts. They afraid to keep it real cause all they see is people act. And they talk down to cats like a nigga won't get smacked anyways. Don't be impressed by tough guys and niggas who overcompensate because of rough lives. Or cats who validate with clout because that stuff dies. And cats who don't think so's about to have a rough ride. Damn, niggas really had some rough nights. Turbulent winds on my mind, it's been a rough flight. Thinking about the haters in the past, I didn't rub right. Looking at them like, I don't give a fuck, right? Thinking back, I probably did, like at the time and all. Remember sitting on the desk as kids playing silent ball. I didn't play much, I was chilling in the cut, writing flows in my notebook and playing in the mud. One. And I ain't even dreamed last night. I'm just trying to be alright. I'm just trying to be alright. I'm just trying to be alright. And I ain't even dreamed last night. I'm just trying to be alright. I'm just trying to be alright. I'm just trying to be alright. As a youngin', I saw too many cousins stuck, way too many fathers gone, bunch of mamas in a rut. Other youngins who forgot to duck. Lost my first friend in 4th grade and that shit really sucked. Pessimism early, so I passed it up quick. Spent my teens searching for a vibe I really fuck with. I ain't find one, but I made one. Shout out to my day ones. Everybody getting bread when my fucking day comes. All this hurting ain't stopping and we don't talk of it often. I feel like everyone hurting. We all got friends in the coffin. We search this world that we lost and avoiding shit that we facing. And it's not just you and me, it's like our whole generation. Cause our parents were absent and mostly lacked information. So we grew into kids who really crave validation. And I talk to these people and then I watch in amazement. Cause no one talk about the fact that youth is lower than basements. No one talk about the fact that youth is turning to addicts. Makes my days all the longest, it makes my nights all the saddest. We don't address all the madness, we just suppress all the damage. We make memes about pain so we can laugh at the sadness. Fuck.